Hello, I'm Max and you're listening to our Hobbit review. With me today is Alid.
Right.
Also Hobie.
Hello.
And finally Chris.
Hello.
This is going to be a spoiler ridden review, so if you haven't seen The Hobbit, go out and see it and then listen to this review. The Hobbit's finally out. Anticipation's high. Did it live up to your standards?
Well, I didn't have any standards. I went in knowing nothing.
Fucking hell. We know.
What do you mean standards?
Like, I wasn't expecting anything of it in terms of, like...
Why not?
I knew it was going to be good. I wasn't expecting...
So you had high standards?
Yeah.
Well, not high standards. Like...
You had standards then?
Fine, I
So
had
good
standards.
for you.
So,
That's true. He thinks Elf's good, so his
True.
standards are right for it to be good.
So yeah, I wasn't expecting anything that I didn't think I'd get, and it was brilliant.
what about you, Alid?
Overall, I was impressed. I thought, yeah, graphics have improved. You know, especially in Gollum, you can see the graphics are so much better. The sound as well. They used the parts of the Lord of the Rings soundtrack, which made it that to create that sort of lineage between the two films, much like Star Wars did. Acting as well. Martin Freeman, brilliant. Andy Serkis as well. That has to be one of the best bits.
For me, Andy Serkis is undervalued. Because his
For
performance
most
as
people,
Gollum,
it is.
he should have been nominated. What about you, Chris?
Same as Alec. It's a very good film. I liked it. I just liked having more Lord of the Rings films, sort of thing. It's just more. It's nice to go back to it. That's how I feel.
Yeah. Well, I knew it wasn't going to be as good as, for me, the old Lord of the Rings, and it wasn't as good as the Fellowship for me, but it did. It was better than I thought it would be, and I thought it was going to be fucking amazing.
I'm definitely looking forward to the next two.
Yeah.
More than I was looking forward to this one. And that's not to say I wasn't looking forward to this one. It's just this made me think, right, no, it's okay.
Yeah.
It is a good.
Well, the thing is with this new one, well, the Hobbit has sort of laid down the foundations for the next two.
Yeah, you know it's going to get better.
You've got to know the character. You've got to like the characters.
Well, not completely.
Yeah.
There are 14 of them, and
Yeah.
True.
The main ones.
Yeah, like Thorin and
I mean, you
stuff
didn't
like
have
that.
to get to like Gandalf. You already know Gandalf.
Mm.
Bilbo's basically Frodo, only better.
So what did you think of Bilbo Martin Freeman?
I thought he was much, much better than Elijah Wood.
Oh
Yeah,
god, yeah,
definitely.
definitely. He
Well, maybe it's
very
just
good
because he's
choice.
a better character.
Better actor.
I think both.
Yeah.
I think better character. And
I mean,
better
he
actor.
looks like a Hobbit. He acts like a Hobbit.
Yeah.
I was watching an interview with Peter Jackson, and he said that the thing that he has is he can do drama really well, like the
Do
deep
comedy,
sort of emotion, and he can do comedy, which is needed in Bilbo. And he's one of the few actors that can do it, and I definitely agree with that. He was perfect as Bilbo. Although I did turn to you, Chris, and say he just looks like Tim from The Office, and it took me about an hour and a half to get over the fact that it's Tim.
Which sounds
Hobbit.
like him as well. And
And acted like him, made the same jokes. What about you, Hobie?
well, I don't see him as Tim from The Office because I was never a fan of Office. But I won't. If I see him again, I won't go, "That's Bilbo." I'll just go, "Oh, that's that guy from The Office" or whatever. But whatever. If you must know, it's from Love Actually. Whenever I see him, I think Love Actually.
Oh, not even Sherlock.
I haven't watched Sherlock.
Fuck off.
So, Love Actually, the bit where he's a porn star.
That's the first thing I saw him in, so that's
True.
what I recognise him from, if that makes sense. But I mean, he was good. He was very good. I liked it. I don't really have much more
I
to
think
say
you're just
on it.
digging
We're doing a
yourself
review,
deeper,
yeah.
But yeah, okay. We're doing a review of Hobbit, not Love Actually.
No, I was talking about The Hobbit when I said it's good.
Right.
I wasn't.
Yeah. I know, yeah, I thought he was talking about Hobbit.
Well, he was.
But you thought he was talking about Love Actually.
Yeah. I don't know, there's just a look in his eyes. I thought he was picturing
Yeah.
those scenes.
Yeah.
And he was like, yeah, it was good. It was good.
I would have liked. I mean, I haven't read the book. How much FaceTime do the rest of the dwarves get? Because that's the only thing I found lacking.
Yeah,
Why
I do
have
agree.
Yeah, I
12 of
think
them
it
if they're not
probably-
all
Well,
sort of
the thing
gonna get
is,
a bit?
I
But they
thought-
might have put in so much more. This is 3
Yeah.
films. we're
Yeah, I
getting out
understand
of
it.
one
So maybe the
book.
next film, a couple of them
Yeah,
will get
exactly.
backstories.
They
or
might get
something.
more.
I'd
of
like
a
to see
look
the
in.
progression of that, but
But I can't remember
yeah.
reading it.
Well, what happened is, I noticed that, yeah, I do agree with you that some of the dwarfs were...
Yeah.
Like, I don't even
Did
think
one
the
of
big
them
fat
even
one...
speak?
Yeah, that
Bomber.
Bomber. He didn't... Did he speak? I don't think he spoke. But it's like, you know the bit where you're introduced to the hobbits. So the second in command.
Well, yeah, you get
elves.
one at a door,
Yeah,
one at a time,
And then the two.
and then the rest.
Who is it?
Philly and Killy.
Philly and Killy.
And then all the others.
And then the other ones are the ones
I know,
that
I was
ignored.
like, okay, they're going to do them like one or two at a time, then it's just...
Well, the ones that fell into the door, they're the ones that are sort of the side ones.
Yeah.
You could tell that.
But I do want to see more. Like, I want to know more about Gloin, Gimli's dad. Emails.
As we're talking about the story, there's lots of things that they're about the book that they've just. There are lots of scenes where they've just lifted straight from the book, which I thought was nice. There's a scene at the beginning, I can't remember who was talking, but the passage that was there, I remember it straight from the book. It was.
What, when Bilbo's talking?
Yeah. Also, much like the Lord of the Rings, there was an increased pace to the film, whereas in the book it was far more relaxed. You know, they stopped for tea and stuff like that. In the film, Frodo has to pretty much leave.
Song, yeah.
Whereas in the book, I think he had about 50 years where he had the ring and he didn't do anything with it.
Well, the thing is with that, a lot of people have been saying it's way too long and the pace of it's too slow. And I disagree totally with that. But I do enjoy long films and I do enjoy Lord of the Rings, so maybe I'm definitely a biased view. But people are moaning that it's an hour in the Shire at the beginning. But for me, the pace was fine. But everyone's slagging it off for that.
No, I
I
agree.
literally don't understand that.
I do remember feeling that way about the Return of the King, though.
But that was just at the end, like
it just dragged on at the end. No, but what I remember of that is when I think Return of the King, I think Battle of Minas Tirith. That's it, sort of thing. I have to force myself and go, oh, there was that bit, but that's what it is for me. I don't like that. I don't like summing up one film, especially one that's about 3 hours long, by one feature in it. This film, I think I'm going to remember all the little things. It's like this happens and that happens and that happens. I think I prefer this.
Yeah.
But no, it wasn't slow. It was fine.
What about the 3D? Because
I didn't really notice it, and I liked that.
Yeah,
because it wasn't in your face like,
yeah, there was only one time when something actually came out.
I think a cape I saw in 3D, and I noticed
it was when they were
most
chucking the flame acorns off the tree.
Yeah.
I actually sort of like blinked, sort of thing, because it bounced in the screen. That's the only time. But whenever I watch 3D, there are always moments where I'm like checking. I take my glasses off and I'm like, well, that just looks like 2D. It's like.
But that's certain parts of the film.
Yeah, I know it's certain parts of the film, but then there's other parts where I'm like, okay, so that's meant to be in 3D. It's just.
But what I don't like about 3D films is that they change the shots that they use to incorporate it, so something comes directly at the thing. But Lord of the Rings is almost set up for that. Like, you know, the bit where Gandalf gets the little bird butterfly thing,
and it flies,
and he flies right into the camera. That was used in Fellowship as well. So, and that's perfectly set up for 3D.
Also about the story going from the book to the film, as well as speeding it up. They were crowbarring other people in from the Lord of the Rings trilogy. Like they're talking about Frodo. I mean Saruman, he wasn't in the book. Also, the Witch King, all that stuff about Sauron, never mentioned in the book because obviously Tolkien wrote it before him.
He does mention the Necromancer. The Necromancer in the Hobbit. I'm sure he is, isn't he?
I don't remember the Necromancer.
Not like that. I think you probably just it's mentioned. I think that's the point.
Possibly.
He didn't call him Sauron. He had no
definitely
idea.
Nothing about the Morgul blade or the
no. Oh God, no, none of that. Yeah, I don't recall any of that.
But that was a welcome. That's a welcome part.
Yeah, because it helps.
Oh yeah, because it just gives you that little thrill of like, oh, I know what's coming. Sort
and like when Frodo's putting the sign on the
exactly.
The gate.
There's just that little hint.
I did like that. Yeah.
There were mild changes to the way things were done, but like for example, when they were in the cave and the cave sort of split and all the doors in. I don't remember that happening like that. I can't remember how it happened in the book.
Which bit do you mean? Sorry.
When they're in the cave, just before Gollum.
When the cave opens up underneath, and they
right.
plummet.
The orcs.
Goblins.
See, and they look nothing like the goblins from.
Well, yeah, I wanted to bring that up as well. Were they definitely goblins?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
so even though the pale guy was
king.
an orc, wasn't he?
He was an orc.
So, but he just was in charge of the rest of the goblins.
He's like a freak.
No, he was with orcs.
He was with orcs.
He was with
orcs.
So the orcs were in Moria then, because that's where that battle was, where he lost his arm and he became the.
No, that was at Erebor. Was
Erebor.
it? No, Erebor was with the
Erebor's got
No,
the
they
dragon.
did say something
they
about
took
Moria.
Moria,
Didn't
Yeah,
they?
Moria's
Yeah.
there,
which
yeah,
was
taking
where
Moria.
the Pale King was.
Yeah,
So the
that's true,
orcs
yeah.
were in Moria. But
Yes,
then
because
in,
But there are
Thorin
goblins
went
in
to try
Fellowship.
and take the old dwarven thing back.
I
after
imagine
Aragorn was
in
lost
between
in
Hobbit
Moria.
and Fellowship, goblins went in there. I don't know.
but that's
60
because
years
I
past.
even
No,
in
but-
Lord
no,
of the
they're
Rings,
the same. They are orcs.
In the Fellowship, there are goblins in
in the
Moria.
Fellowship, they're goblins.
No,
Or at
they're-
least
they're like orcs.
Legolas
Goblins.
finds the goblin arrow because he like goes goblins or something. When he
Yeah,
pulls
but I'm
it
sure
out.
they call him orcs at another point.
Well, that's something.
They are-
Maybe
they are-
it's just
no,
a law
they
thing.
Maybe
are-
they're both. Maybe
They
they're
are a
both.
form of orc.
Are they
I
just
think
a special type? They're
they're-
all orcs.
Yeah, it's
but
like
a goblin is a
Uruk-hai,
special.
goblins, orc. They're all
They're all
orcs,
orc.
but they're
Okay.
different types.
Right.
Uruk-hai are goblin men.
Yeah.
They're just
Goblin-
like
Yeah,
races.
they are goblins. Yeah.
I think goblins were originally meant to be twisted hobbits. I might
Twisted
be wrong
elves.
Orcs were twisted elves.
for that. Twisted elves were orcs, but I think
Oh right.
hobbits was it's like the opposite.
Sorry,
What's
yeah.
an elf?
How do you know so
Yeah.
much? Sort of
Well,
fairy.
all I wanted to mention was it was confusing for me because they looked so different. I was like, well, what are they? Are they orcs? Are they goblins?
That was definitely the goblin the underground. It was
Yeah.
the Goblin King. They were.
And even then,
goblins.
they didn't look much. There was a lot of variation, like when the Goblin King said to a different goblin and he was writing it down.
Yeah, there's.
And it was like,
we
wait, is that a
always
baby
get stuff
goblin
like
or
that.
is that?
Maybe it's a
That's a freak,
disabled
it's a-
goblin?
that's- yeah.
Exactly.
But
Look
my
at the
point
amount
is,
of difference between the different orcs.
yeah, but
Exactly.
even with that, I didn't like that in Fellowship when like the Uruk-hai from Saruman were completely different, like to
They were
all the
Uruk-hai.
other Uruk-hai. Like when you get Uruk-hai in
No, what happened is
Mordor and stuff, and
Saruman
it's
sent some Uruk-hais over to
like, yeah,
Yeah.
I
Mordor.
understand, but they
And they
I
might
would
have
say
been
it just-
bred.
differently.
Yeah, bred differently.
It
didn't
is-
breed them
yeah, I
as
know,
good
but
as-
This
just my point
applying
is-
science to a fantasy.
Yeah, I know,
really
I know,
isn't a
but
clever
it's,
thing.
it's for me anyway. It's hard to keep up with what's supposed to be
Well, I
what.
just go. It looks evil. It's bad.
Yeah, I
I don't think
understand,
you
but
have
I
to
do
go.
like to know-
Is that a goblin or an
But
orc?
is there
or
much
is it
difference
half-breed?
between the
It's just-
goblins?
It's evil. It's a
Is there much
monstrous,
difference
dirty
between
little thing.
the Goblin King set of goblins and the goblins in Moria
Yeah,
in the Fellowship?
I
Is
would
there?
have said so because the
Well-
goblins in Moria were more green. They were all
Yeah, but that
like,
was 60 years later. They might have spent years underground.
I know,
it's a
I know,
fantasy
I
for
know.
God's sake.
But-
They might
Well, no,
they
they-
might evolve really quickly or something.
Well, definitely, because
Why are we
even though-
talking about this?
Even though they were geologically close, they were separate. They were separate tunnels from Moria, and that was the Goblin Kingdom.
Yeah.
And they were shitting themselves because of the Balrog. Maybe
Mm.
they've gone green because they were shitting
Exactly.
themselves.
Maybe they were jealous.
Yeah.
but with that, like when the wargs, because you could tell that the wargs have been done up.
Yeah.
It wasn't like, oh, they don't look like what they did in Two Towers because
More
it was
fearsome.
obviously it was just more fearsome. They have a bigger part, so they need better CGI with it, and I'm fine with that. And they were really good. I wanted to say the wargs. I wasn't scared, but I was like, they look
good.
like
Everything looked.
they
good in
look
the film.
like if one of them was charging you.
You cheat yourself.
Yeah,
Well,
exactly.
yeah, of course. I'd shit myself if anything charged me.
Mm.
Down on the CGI, gotta mention Gollum. Gotta mention
Yeah.
Gollum.
Gollum was amazing.
That was probably one of the most accurate to the book scenes there was
Yeah.
in the film, and it was one of the best for it.
It's one of the few sort of bits in the book I can remember. That's how sort of strong it's sat in my memory. Yeah.
In the book, however, when he finds the ring, I think he literally just finds the ring on the
Yes.
floor. It wasn't in Gollum's pocket, and you see it
Yeah,
fall
I
out.
don't recall that.
Well,
just
yeah,
literally
well, would Gollum have
finds
a pocket?
Well, no, you
Well,
see
just-
it
I don't know. He
at the
put it on
beginning
his
of the
cock or something,
Fellowship.
his arse or something.
Yeah. It's different.
They show that,
Yeah.
and it's
Yeah,
Ian Holm
what's
that
that
finds
ring?
it.
Yeah, I
It's
was
like
hoping-
that's how I recall it in the book. He sort of just finds it.
Yeah. So, what about the CGI?
And we mentioned it.
With
Well,
different.
no, 'cause
so
you said,
when you have the battle when they describe the Pale King versus the Prince, I don't even remember his name.
Thorin.
Prince
Don't even
Thorin.
remember Thorin. He was
Yeah.
a main
Probably
dwarf.
King Thorin then after he got killed. His father was killed.
Yeah,
True.
just king of
Battlefield
got a
promotion.
kingdom. It's like
But,
Aragorn's always been the king, but he
Yeah,
was
but he
never
had a
king.
Dunedain or something. Anyway, I was very hesitant going in thinking those don't even look like dwarves and everything like that. But for the big battles of like Erebor and
They
Yeah.
look like dwarves.
Moria, I was like, this looks like you can completely tell the difference between them and men sort of thing. It was like,
Yeah.
it was scaled and
Yeah.
it was just perfect. It was like, that looks like an army of dwarves. How
Yeah.
they ran, how they moved, how they...
how they fought. Yeah.
Yeah, and this isn't so much CGI as well, but I wanted to mention it because I was a bit like, you know, when they get captured and Bilbo sort of slips away
Yeah.
by just
Ducking.
ducking, yeah. But but there's a bit where he has his first one-on-one fight with Goblin.
Yeah.
That bit shit me up. I was like, Jesus Christ, because
Is
it
he
wasn't
gonna
like it wasn't like no, it
Don't
wasn't
die,
like they're gonna
Bilbo,
die.
don't die.
It was because usually with things like that, even and I'm a big fan of the Lord of the Rings and everything, but all the battles, it's never been realistic enough for me. Like, is it because like when you see Aragorn jump off and you shout Elendil,
when you see
can
Legolas
see them, they're
take
just
down an
waiting.
elephant,
They're waiting. They've got him surrounded, but they're waiting, and then one guy will go in, and things like that. I always think, oh well, you know, realistically, if you all just stabbed at the same time or something. So when Bilbo had his fight, and it's like Bilbo, this novice guy who's never held a sword in his life, and you can really see that he's like, it's pure luck that he's blocking and running away sort of thing. That shit me up because I was like, that looks like a fight I couldn't win. It was more realistic.
Well, no, you realise you
and I was like,
you probably sat there thinking, yeah, I could be that dwarf sort of killing those people, and then you realise, oh no, that's what I'd be like.
Yeah, exactly.
I'd be floundering.
It was you see them all just swing around an axe, and every single goblin's head gets hit, and then you got Bilbo who's like struggling, and I was like, I liked that because it was like.
Yeah,
more realistic,
they didn't turn him straight away into like
hero
Sam and Merry and Pippin jumping.
And it was
on
like, oh yeah, I
cave
could
troll.
get the hang of this. I was like, no, you're shitting yourself for your life, even if it is only one goblin.
Going on to the dwarves, because the dynamic of the dwarves is the key to the whole film. What do you think? Because I thought I'd be annoyed at like the comic effect and sort of like the silliness of it, but I'm totally fine with it. I enjoyed the dwarves as a whole. I thought I'd be annoyed at like the sort of joking around, but it was brilliant. I
wouldn't say brilliant, but certainly it didn't annoy me. It's fine, good.
The plate thing annoyed me a bit.
Yeah,
because I was like, they're not a circus.
Yeah,
they're supposed to be like blacksmiths and tailors.
Yeah,
no tailor could just.
I think that was in the book.
Was it in the book?
Oh yeah, I mean it was, but
that's
that was sort of like, when's it gonna end? Please hurry up. I wasn't enjoying. I wasn't like, yay, look at them go. Yeah.
I like the dwarvish tints on everything. So you have the sort of the architecture you go through, and it looks so dwarvish, and then you hear the songs. They had that sort of that miners sort of chanting. You know, you can really feel it.
What is Gandalf the Snow White?
Yeah, Snow White
towering over them.
Snow White and the 12, 13 dwarves.
So yeah, I like that because it was a different feeling from Lord of the Rings. So that was nice because I didn't want to walk in and just see a full Lord of the Rings film. It was different.
Yeah, I saw another interview with Peter Jackson, and he was talking about he wanted to stress the comic effect of the book because The Hobbit was written for children, and he wanted to get that across instead of a difference between Lord of the Rings. And I thought I wouldn't like that, but I still did. So it just shows how much of a fan I am of it. They could shit in my mouth, and I'd say, yeah, this is brilliant.
The shots as well. Do you have anything to say about the way it was shot?
I do have a problem with the way it looked. Is amazing. Obviously, it's Lord of the Rings. It looks brilliant, and New Zealand looks amazing. But I was struggling to, in some of the action sequences, like when they were escaping the Goblin King, I was struggling to see what was happening because it was cut so fast, and the 3D effect of it swooping through, and they were on the run. I was struggling.
I understand that. I was like, were there dwarves on different levels as well?
He's hitting.
Yeah, it was.
Because I was a bit like, how did some dwarves get up there if everyone was following down?
It is one of those where it's like your brain has to work fast. Like, what's going on? What's going on? But I sort of like that.
I do. Yeah,
because I'm like, because there was sort of like a certain sort of
I need to see it
cleverness to it, like how they work. Sort of. Obviously, it's like that would never happen. Like they all get out completely unscathed, obviously. But I mean, it's obviously like repeat viewings, you'll notice things that you didn't before. So I'm looking forward to seeing that again. But I enjoyed it. I was like, that was good, sort of thing. It was enjoyable.
But I think it could have been cut up a bit, maybe like half a second extra between, just something, because it was cut extremely fast, that bit. The thing I thought about Thorin's character is I thought he'd be Aragorn Mark II.
Yeah.
And he was a bit like that. But they added a bit more vengeance and anger to him.
He was a bit more Boromir.
Yeah, and I did
more sort of like normal sort of thing. Aragorn was a bit too perfect. Yeah, like, it was like the unbreakable effect. Sort of thing. It's like he's got no faults. That's what I like about Thorin.
Yeah, and that's what I liked about Boromir. but I thought Thorin was pretty good, and Richard Armitage was good in it.
He was very good.
Ian McKellen, brilliant as always.
Obviously, Ian McKellen.
He's just he's Gandalf.
Great seeing him back.
Christopher Lee, Kate
Christopher
Blanchett.
Lee, Kate Blanchett, Hugo Weaving.
Yeah, Hugo Weaving.
Nice to sort of like go, just take
Did
you
they
back,
make
that's
him
the
look
point.
younger, by the way?
Yeah, a bit. Yeah,
I'd imagine. Yeah,
Saruman,
a
yeah.
bit.
I thought the bit where the elves rode in and saved the dwarfs, and then they rode into Rivendell.
Yeah.
I thought that they were going to quickly mention Elrond's two sons, the twins.
Yeah, I thought they were going to mention
So I was
that.
waiting for them to say, "Oh, this is whoever." I forgot the name.
Maybe that'll be a deleted scene.
Yeah, I reckon it is, because I did see a few people that look like Elrond, and I thought that was the sons.
I liked what the elves were wearing. I liked the armour because it
Yes,
looked like the
yes.
high elves.
It sort of looked like,
Definitely.
high elves, but...
They went back to that,
It's
yeah.
fucking brilliant.
Well, yeah, moving on to that, everything about the design and the art of the film is brilliant,
Yeah.
as Lord of the Rings usually is.
Yeah.
Costume design and the
Yeah.
dwarven axes and stuff as well. I noticed that. I thought, that.
Even like little stuff like the
Yeah.
bird muck in Sylvester McCoy's hair, in Radagast the Brown's hair.
Yeah.
Just little stuff like that.
There was another thing that I had a bit of a problem with. When they were running from the orcs on wargs, just before they got into Rivendell, they were in what looked like Rohan.
Yeah.
It looked like Rohan. It was like the hills and everything.
it did, yeah.
Like, and it was like they did a helicopter shot, and you could literally see nothing on the horizon that was any different. And then they go through a hole in the ground, and suddenly they're in this valley.
Yeah, I know. I was like,
where the fuck did that come from? Was it just
I
underground?
assumed that it was a big sort of crack. I imagine that they were in there for a while, but there was no indication of
Yeah.
that. That's how I
Yeah.
sort of sorted out in my head, because I was like, well, hang on. They were in the middle of nowhere 5 seconds ago. It's not like Gandalf said we're near Rivendell. There was no indication.
Yeah.
So I would have gone, he should have at least suggested that they'd been walking through that crack for like a day, sort of thing. Just some hint that time has passed, because there was nothing like that.
That's just
that's
one
a-
of the
yeah,
film.
that's just a
That's
little
the film thing,
niggle.
yeah.
It's just sort of like, it's just sort of confusing.
Lastly, I just wanted to say that after the first hour, you really felt I really felt part of the world.
Yeah.
That's what I liked. There wasn't a sort of distant thing that I felt with Lord of the Rings. I think that's in Middle Earth, whereas I felt that was sort of happening where I was. Maybe it was the 3D effect, maybe it was a bigger screen.
Yeah.
I don't know, but
You felt like you were in the movie.
yeah.
yeah.
Well, the thing is,
Well, you're the
Cliche.
13th dwarf, yeah.
yeah. Well, I immediately felt that when they played the Hobbit, the Shire music. As soon as they did that, I was like, alright,
Yeah.
I'm back in. I'm back in. Which I have to say, the music was amazing as well.
Like a warm blanket.
Yeah. Alright, so I'll ask you a question. What was your favourite scene?
Smeagol.
Yeah, I've
Without a
got to
doubt.
say that. It's got to be that, because it is.
Well,
It's
let
one
him
that
say.
sticks out in my head.
The riddles, all lifted from the book.
Yeah.
The way that it was acted as well, brilliant.
Yeah.
I love the fact that you saw Smeagol's eyes first, just like in the Lord of the
Yeah.
Fellowship of the Ring.
Yeah.
Yeah, you see his eyes on that rock. You see his eyes in there. He's just in the darkness, especially when he's moving around, chasing after Bilbo at the end. You just saw these eyes appear. I know that was brilliant.
Yeah.
The I don't know, the way Gollum was. It's so Gollum, and lines that he was using at the end, like "He's stolen from us." He used that in Lord of the Rings, and you can see, oh yeah, that's where he gets it from. You know, like he keeps saying like Baggins is and stuff
Yeah,
like that.
Baggins is Shire or whatever.
Exactly.
I was like, nice.
The whole scene was threatened to steal the whole film.
Easy.
Yeah, it's a very good scene. Hobie, what was your favourite scene?
Well, I wanted to mention this anyway because obviously, and this is just for me personally, when I think of Lord of the Rings, I think things like Minas Tirith, Helm's Deep. I like big battles, and even though you saw one of the like reclaiming of Moria, and you saw a bit of the dragon invading Erebor, I personally would have liked a half-hour battle scene of one of the two.
Yeah,
sort of
well,
thing.
just
but,
stick
No,
with
yeah,
the
yeah,
trilogy,
but-
and you'll get something.
yeah, but I know, I understand that. I do understand that.
But that's not in the book.
Yeah, I know. But so that was my favourite scene because I liked seeing. Well, I guess both of them. I liked seeing the dragon just completely fuck it up.
Yeah.
Completely.
I did
Even though
like-
you don't
yeah.
see the dragon.
Well, that's what I liked about it.
No,
I
I
like the
like
idea that they didn't show it.
Yeah, because it just makes you
then
like,
right-
you know it's
oh,
going
oh.
to be in the later
Yeah.
one.
Oh yeah.
But and then I liked the reclamation of Moria. I was like, that
It
is
did look-
that is a good
it
scene
did
because
look
you've
very
never seen the dwarves fight properly. You know, you've seen Gimli, but he's supposed
Yeah,
to be like
exactly.
super
That's all you ever see.
thing.
wanna
I
see a
wanted to
bit
see
more.
I wanted to see the
Yeah.
Dwarven Army.
Yeah, I wanted
Yeah.
to see Dwarven Army, and I was very happy with that. I was like, that looks fucking shit hot.
Yeah. But I know there should have been a bit more of it because I was enjoying it.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh.
What about
go
you,
back to
Chris?
that.
What was your...
Goblin bit when they're running through there? I did enjoy
Yeah,
that.
is a
I
good
did
bit.
like that. But sort of just a personal, just any bit where Christopher Lee was on screen
Yeah.
was thrilling.
I'll tell you my
Well,
favourite scene.
yeah.
My favourite scene is the bit where Bilbo turns the adventure down and then they start singing. That was my favourite bit.
Why?
Because of the song.
I understand it's a good song, but if that's
know,
the best
it's-
scene in the
yeah,
film for you,
that
Well, no,
weak.
That was a good scene.
that's a point where I got sort of a
I
sense
don't
of...
say you wanted to stand up and salute or anything like that.
a sort of sense of they know what they're going, and this it's sort of a togetherness, of their
Solidarity.
group, yeah. But I like that bit. It sent shivers down the spine. But obviously, I got the scene with the fight scenes were good. The Goblin King himself, he was pretty good. The troll scene, that was okay. Well, I can't think of any moment that was shit.
Then when they were on the tree, I know it's very Hollywoody.
Oh
to do it,
yeah.
but then just think, when's that tree gonna fucking fall?
Yeah.
Seriously, the tree's been hanging for 10 minutes,
Yeah, that bit was a bit sort of like, that's not
dragging on.
Well, what did you think of the Pale Orc?
scary.
He looked like the guy from Prometheus, one of the engineers.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
I meant to ask you with that as well. Did anyone else see? Because he had a lot of scars on his face and body.
Mm.
In certain lights, to me, it looked like they were sort of glowing a bit.
Whenever, if ever his severed arm was on screen, I was just looking at it like, it's like
What?
spears.
Yeah, I
Because
like
around
that.
the back
That's
as well.
I like that.
But that's
I
another.
just kept looking at
that's
that.
another quirk of the design. Like they've
I
shoved.
shoved it through. I was like, of course you would. It's not
Yeah.
like they don't have prosthetics.
Yeah.
He just shoves it like I don't know.
But I
some
like that.
stick through his arm.
So in summary, what would you give the film out of 10, Chris?
8, 9.
8, 9.
Yeah.
Hobie?
I'd give it a 9. You're probably the much bigger fan than me, but I thought it was just as good as Fellowship.
Cool. That's big. That's big praise for me.
I would have said it about 9.5.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Jesus.
That's
I thought it was good.
nigh on perfect.
Nearly.
I find it hard to give any film a 9 because that's like it's very close to being perfect, and every film's got its faults. I think I prefer Fellowship. I'd give Fellowship a 9 because it is just so much more enjoyable. I just enjoy it so much more.
Yeah, I agree with you though. I'd give it a high 9, but for me the Fellowship's a 10, so that's why. So we're all in agreement.
It's a very good film.
The Hobbit.
Go watch it.
Go watch it because
Well
it is
worth it.
unbelievably good.